When it's your turn to talk, you have to manage your language consciously because we don't automatically describe things. In fact, we automatically use descriptors that are judgmental labels. Our elephant mind presents the writer with a constant flow of judgments and the words with which to articulate them. And unless our writer pays attention, we speak our feelings in the guise of facts. This can automatically arouse defensive emotions in the other's elephant. And while you're rattling on about something, they're running their what a jerk, what a jerk, what a jerk tapes in their head. They're not listening to you. They're listening to themselves, judging you while you talk. To get people to listen to us, we need to get conscious about the way we speak. We need to put our writer back in charge and choose words that are non-judgmental and assume as little as possible about the situation. The best way to speak descriptively is to stay with your own perceptions, thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, and put them out into the space between the two of you. You can avoid getting into the other's mental space by starting your sentences with the pronoun I. Descriptive language really does what it says it does. It depicts, it gives an account of behavior that's happening or has just happened. It's conscious, tedious, but it's honest. If we want people to listen to us rather than feel the need to defend themselves, we need to avoid starting our sentences with "you are." This is an inherently judgmental phrase about what's inside of them, something we can't actually know, but only judge. Also, if we want them to listen to our ideas rather than feel compelled to defend their ideas, then we need to avoid making sweeping generalities about the situation, speaking as if our statement is the capital T truth. It makes people resent us. Both of these control talk forms, "you are" and allness statements, statements that imply there's nothing else to be said once you've said it, usually starting with "the truth is," inflame emotions and force others to resist us. And they're fundamentally lies. We can't possibly know how other people are, but only how we see and feel them. So we need to say only that. Moreover, we can't know how things really are. We can only give our opinions of them, so say exactly that. When you unthinkingly say "you're wrong," you're pointing to a state of wrongness that exists inside of them. Even if such a state existed, how could you possibly know this? And practically speaking, the state of their inner moral or rational processes is none of your business. Your only business is your state of disagreement. So say, "I disagree." When we say "the situation is," or "this is what I heard and saw," we turn our judgments into descriptions. Using "in my opinion" or "as I see it," we are telling the only truth we know, our perceptions and thoughts. We're being honest. And when we can say "I disagree" instead of "you're wrong," and "I'm confused" instead of "you're confusing me," we're being clear about our thought processes, not theirs. Changing your everyday assertions to descriptive I messages not only makes them easier for the other to hear, but also represents an ethical choice. When you use them, you're making a choice not to do psychological violence to the other and their sense of rightness by trying to tell them how they are or how they ought to feel, think, or believe. You take responsibility only for your own state of mind, not theirs. Descriptive I messages also soften commands, which imply powerlessness in the other, into requests based on need. The easiest way to get someone to do what you want is to say, "I need you to," or "we need you to," or "the situation requires that we," and they allow us to speak without blaming. When we say "you're confusing me," we're pointing to their intentions around something as small as not speaking clearly, from your point of view. You can't know their inner state of intention, and particularly not about something as automatic as stringing a sentence together. Descriptive I messages keep you honest and ethical by keeping your thoughts in the only safe place they can be, which is in the space between the two of you. By the way, it's not the word "you" that's a problem as much as it is the phrase "you are." As long as "you" is part of a "you" action phrase that follows a descriptive I message describing your own perceptions of their external behavior, "you" works fine. For example, "when I see you do," or "when I hear you say," "I get," or "I feel," works really well. We can also use "you seem," which is not about them, but about our perceptions of their behavior. These phrases turn our thoughts from judgments into information that can actually be discussed. Descriptive I messages are the best way for describing your stuff, but they can also really help you connect with the other when they're framed as open acknowledgments and forms of genuine support. This allows you to talk about their stuff in a connective way. Open acknowledgement is intended to build an invisible bridge between you and the other in a disconnecting moment. Open, it just means we say out loud our recognition of what's going on in the moment or with someone else, because too often we notice these things, but we don't say a word. When we're dealing with folks in a difficult situation, the person whose behavior we want to change is always waiting to see if we're going to attack or judge them. Of course, if we automatically respond with control talk, we simply force them to defend their sense of rightness and generate bad information for us, information distorted by blame, avoidance, and denial. To avoid this, we need to first keep them connected to us, and second, keep them open to sharing good information that will help us, help them, solve the problem we're both facing. There are three general types of open acknowledgement. First, situational. Openly acknowledging how the situation looks to you without personal judgment. This is complicated. These are also called normalizing acknowledgements when you're dealing with someone who's made a mistake and is closing up out of fear and guilt. Say, "Well, this has happened before," or "This is actually tough on everyone." Secondly, there are personal acknowledgements. With these, you are acknowledging their truth. This can be as simple as describing what they just said or did and what it might mean. "You seem," or "I hear you saying that," are always great ways to start. It's your first estimate of what's going on in the space between you. Or, if they're coming straight at you with criticism, let their negative energy go past by acknowledging their position. I can understand how you might see it this way. It's a simple expression of your perception of their intentions or meaning without agreement or disagreement. Finally, before they speak to criticize your needs, you might try the disarming version of a personal acknowledgement. "I'm no expert, but..." What you're doing is acknowledging the limits of your knowledge up front as a way of getting them to drop their defenses long enough to hear you out. The third general form of acknowledgement is called a hypothetical acknowledgement. These are usually offered as, "If I'd been in your position, I would have too." This is a great tool to keep them connected during disagreement. When we describe what we saw them do or heard them say, they might justify their actions with an explanation about how the situation caused their behavior. We can acknowledge their explanation without agreeing with it by implicitly saying, "Yeah, I'm human too. I can see how this might have happened." Open acknowledgements help us keep the discussion going until we get all the information we need to help them, help us, solve whatever problem is on the table. They allow us to recognize our common humanity by paying attention without judging. They build an invisible bridge between us to keep them focused on the problem at hand and not on their fears. Genuine support is about offering the other consciously positive and specific feedback, compliments, thanks, and gratitude. We offer this when we're trying to catch them doing something right, appreciating the bright spots in their behavior or the situation, and where we recognize their efforts to try or take steps forward. Several levels of research confirm the automatic neural reward of direct compliments, and that people do learn from their mistakes, but learn much faster when their near misses or their "almost got it this time" moments are noted instead of their mistakes and errors. And that receiving regular thanks from a manager or supervisor deepens employee engagement in their work. We can deepen this feeling of connection by making sure both the rider and elephant are engaged in the moment, by making the other aware of the reasons for the thanks and the feelings of appreciation. First, state your perceptions of their behavior. "When I see you do this or hear you say this," then, secondly, describe your feelings or first thoughts. "I feel," or "I think." And thirdly, pay the compliment. Thank them with a positive "you are." For example, "When I saw how you all stayed late on Friday to get this order out to the client for Monday morning, I was really impressed. You folks are terrific. Thanks a lot." So there you have it, dialogue talk. The foundational pair of elements, emotional self-management and understanding first, that prepare our minds to perform the active pairs of talk, asking questions and listening appreciatively, descriptive I messages to talk about our stuff without sounding judgmental, and open acknowledgement and genuine support, which allows us not only to talk about their stuff without judgment, but also to appreciate them in a way they will really get. These 4 pairs of thought and word patterns are all you need to keep people connected and sustain their trust in difficult situations. There aren't many elements here, and each of them may not seem very powerful by themselves, but enacting them in the right order in difficult situations will make you into a master communicator. We'll show you several examples of how to do dialogue talk in our next segment.